Welcome to Live, Let, Thrive, a podcast about the Airbnb life, the share economy, and everything in between. Here are your hosts, Myka and Steve.
Hello, hello, hello.
And welcome back to another exciting episode
of Live,
Let,
Thrive. What is up, Myka, man?
I'm chilling, Stevie Stacks, man. How you doing on this cloudy day?
I love it. I love this weather, man. Enjoy it now. This nice, cool spring weather that we getting, because the heat will come, and all our electric bills will go up, and all of our ACs will go out, and it's gonna be pandemonium.
Yeah, you reminded me of those AC bills. I hate that. Dread to see that coming, man.
Yeah, well, this is episode 321 of your favorite short-term, midterm, long-term, PadSplit, all that fun stuff podcast in the world, coming at you from Fort Worth and Arlington, Texas.
Let's go, man. How's things been on your end, Stevie Stacks? You almost got the pad split up?
Almost, man. Real quick on the AC note, though, a friend of shout out to Susanna if she listens to the show. Susanna Chung, she does some investing over here from out of Canada, and she took over a couple of my Dallas units. But she said, so when I was at those Dallas units, like I said, the area wasn't the best. They were profitable for the price point and all that stuff, but then, I gave them up. And some young whippersnappers grabbed them, and that's cool. But now they started to be going downhill, and the problem, like one of the ACs went out at one of the units, and the apartment complex never fixed it. And so and I'm telling her, giving her my advice. I'm like, that sucks. And then it's one of those things where some landlords say, hey, look at the lease. I don't say I have to provide you AC. Some of them are just a-holes like that, right? But it's Texas. Man. Come on, man. Yeah, there's some bad ones out there. But so I did tell her, you can get those portable AC units, small apartments, small studio apartments. It'll cool one of them. You know what I'm saying? Get you a little plug-in portable AC units. It's good to have a couple of them on hand in case the ACs start going out, which they will. It's summertime, and it'll knock them out,
bro. I ain't gonna lie, AC going out at apartment complexes, that was one of the reasons I got away from arbitrages. Like, because it's just like, they just don't care, man. They just like, we'll get to it when we get to it. That's why you got to vet those, you got to vet the management on those, bro. Got to vet them.
Yes, you do, man. So you brought up the pad split.
Yeah.
Let me change. Here, talk for a minute. Let me change something on my thing. I just noticed something. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. I was just wondering, how the pad split was going, because I know you sent me some pictures and stuff. You were showing me a guy putting up a wall. I like how when you were putting up the wall, it actually reminded me of the office that I'm sitting in. Because that's what I did at my house I'm living in to create an office. I just put up a wall. I had a guy put up a wall. I had a thing where you could go see up the stairs, but I had him fill that in with drywall, and I was like, dang, I could have done that with this room because it didn't cost much, but I did have them like pad it so it's like soundproof and all that and winterized it. So yeah, I was like, dang, it really ain't that hard to put up drywall and create an extra bedroom, especially like when you first walk in a house, because usually you have that open space that can easily be a bedroom.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm doing. So at that house, right when you walk in on the right, now there's a little hallway there. So on the right, it's a whole bedroom. Yeah. And I told you the back room, he's putting a hallway so that second bathroom can be a community bathroom instead of just one person having access to one, and then all the other 5 rooms have to fight over one bathroom. You know what I'm saying? So it splits it up to 3 and 3, and actually it looks pretty good. It looks like an area. It looks like an area that's a hallway, and I just need to put couple lights above there because it is a little dark hallway because that's where he closed in that room some. And so anyways, it's coming along. I'm excited about it. Now I did a whole pad split thing today. Shout out to Justin King. He did one of those like webinar things, helping newbies learn how to pad split correctly and all that stuff. And there was a lot of good information. One of the biggest things that jumped out at me, because people had asked, hey, can I rent a couple rooms on Furnished Finder and the rest of the rooms on PadSplit or whatever, separated out? And he's like, no, the whole house has to be 100% PadSplit.
That is what I was wondering.
Yeah, 100% PadSplit.
Okay, so like You said your nephew. Would your nephew then have to create like a pad split in order to do that?
So here's how they do it. They'll send you like if you know somebody that wants to have one of the rooms, they'll send you a QR code where that person doesn't have to pay for because you're gonna allow them there anyways, right? So that person they don't have to pay for what's it called application fee. It's like $19 application fee that they charge. So that person just gets a QR code. They go in there and they set up their profile and they can start renting on PadSplit. And then you can host them in your house. So PadSplit's going to get a little chunk of it. I think it's more of the quality control thing. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure you could. Well, I don't know. I think it's a quality control because let's say someone that you're letting stay at one of the rooms, has some bad history or whatever, and they do something to a PadSplit person. PadSplit could sue or the person could sue PadSplit and say, "Hey, man, you put me in uncomfortable. I thought this whole house was a PadSplit. This person was staying in one of the rooms. I don't know who it was, and I think that's why."
And I think that was one of my questions last week. Was like, "Yo, can you just rent it like you have an Airbnb room, a PadSplit room over here?" Yeah, because I could see the liability with that. Like you have the Airbnb person piss off the PadSplit person, and it's kind of like, you know what I mean? Yeah, it could be.
And I guess I could charge my nephew $1 a month or something, something like that. I don't, know what I'm saying, through PadSplit, but he'll actually have a profile, and all the other guests will know who he is, and they'll be able to.
Oh, that's how it works. So everyone in the same. That's a pretty good model then.
That's why he said you can't discriminate and set up all girls' houses or all guys' houses, but it kind of naturally happens because a girl sees a house with like some other girl staying there. She feels more comfortable renting a room at that house. You know what I'm saying? Where she sees she'll be the only girl in that house, you probably won't rent a room there,
So that makes me wonder, is most of the target demographic men?
I believe he said it is mostly men.
I figured.
I believe he
because even if you had like a 5-bedroom house and it's 4 girls, they might feel uncomfortable with just some dude walking around. You know what I mean? For real, it's just like
I know.
Yeah, it's like who's the dude? So yeah, I could see it being majority men.
So I have a question for you.
Okay, go ahead.
What did Shannon Sharp teach us about financial freedom?
Stay off OnlyFans.
or stay off the people that are on OnlyFans.
Stay off. Yeah, I mean, hey, bro.
Well, my thing. Okay, check it out.
Okay.
And I'm just going there as far as setting up your life, investing.
It goes into it. Go ahead.
He already built him an empire without ESPN. Now they were talking about him getting this $200 million ESPN deal or whatever was in the works, but he was already good on money. So that would have been cherry on top, that'd have been a good deal, but he already had his podcasts. He already had his brandy or whatever the hell that he makes. He already had a bunch of stuff going, radio shows. He had his own. He had everything already, right? And of course, he made his money from the NFL. But so he had already set up a successful life, and he had already has making millions off of his art, existing streams of income. Now, what's getting more and more common is these celebrities that are reliant on an ESPN or a Fox or whoever they're working for, and then they get one of these things. What do they do right away? They fire him. They get him off and they're never coming back. So even if they had $100 million contract lined up, they're gone with just one accusation.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, not this ain't. I don't want to sound like conspiracy theories, but this is what I'm noticing. I'm noticing now a lot of like ex-basketball players and football players. I'm not saying they're purposely getting fired, but they'll get let go real easy. It's like if they don't want to be there no more. Like, Shannon, before the whole thing came out with the OnlyFans, he had the accidentally going live and that tape coming out. And I was like, dang, I wonder if Shannon just kind of wants to be done with that and just focus on his podcast full time, but he doesn't really want to let it go. Because, Paul Pierce did that. He was working at ESPN, and then he posted the video of him and all the strippers behind him, and then all of a sudden he doesn't work at ESPN anymore, but Fox picked him up, so he's happy at Fox. I don't know. So it's like a lot of people, like, they keep jumping between the two networks, because I think Fox Sports is really to me, Fox Sports is better than ESPN because I like listening to the Cowherd and stuff. So it's like people are flip flopping between the two. So I don't know, but that's what I've been noticing.
But what I like, on let's say Shannon Sharp's podcast, I hadn't heard Paul Pierce, but I've seen a bunch of headlines he's making with his comments lately. His pretty funny stuff, right? Like, there's no way. Is it? What do you say? Marriage is only for
poor people. Oh, we can go into that too.
That's he said poor people and old people. That's what he said.
Yeah.
It's no advantage for a man. That's what he said. Anyways, what's cool about the whole podcast movement and stuff like it, like Shannon, for example, I would listen to some of his shows. I mean, God, he can't say that stuff on ESPN. Exactly. He can't say it on Fox, but he's saying it, and he's forming a huge following, right? Because he's being himself. Yes. He's saying stuff. He's not censoring himself. He's not worrying about, the sponsors are gonna drop him or he just say it, and he building this. And then he had like the most watched podcast of all time with Cat Williams hopping on, and it's just it was just insane, man. And so then Fox, what does ESPN do? They're gonna offer him the bag because they know he's so popular. He's gonna bring a lot of eyeballs to ESPN.
Man. That is true. And like, that's how Barstool Sports is taking off right now. They're picking up like people who don't even like, if you listen to like Wallow and Gillian Wallow, they talk about sports, they talk about all types of stuff, but Barstool Sports picked them up because it's like, it's more of urban and people, they're themselves, and people like, they talk about sports like you're talking about sports in a bar. You know what I mean? And people like it. So, and I ain't gonna lie, I love Nightcap with Unc and, Chad Ocho. Yeah, it's hilarious, because they're themselves, they're just talking like they would regularly talk, so it has its audience. It's authentic, right? It's authenticity, and it's just themselves. And, ESPN, they ain't tripping on it. He's doing his thing over there. He's not saying it on the air, but I like it that way.
And that's funny, the whole being genuine.
Yeah.
And being genuine in business, being genuine in life or whatever. Yeah. To the point where people, I mean, look at our president, for example. He never had no censor. He never had people writing his scripts. He says whatever the hell he wants to say, good or bad. He says whatever the hell he wants to say. He offends anybody. He don't give a shit. And people voted him to be president because they were just tired of the same old process, politicians reading the same old teleprompters, saying the same old safe stuff, staying away from these words, have to say these words, saying it's like robots, right? And finally there's this dude saying, F you, who cares? He's just saying whatever he wants. And people say, we like this guy. We're gonna vote him president.
It's funny. I don't want to get too far into politics, but I'm just say some fun stuff. He brings authenticity to it. Like, not authenticity. He just speaks what's on his mind. And if you look at the internet right now, anybody who's going viral right now, they just say what's on their mind. Like, the most viral person I know is probably the Cat Williams interview. And then like Charleston White, he goes viral every week, just saying whatever the hell's on his mind. And then if you look, people are more just drawn to the authenticity. Like, look at what Trump said today. I think
what'd he say?
He said, yeah, Buttigieg doesn't really know what he's talking about. He rides a bike to work with his husband on the back. He straight up said this, bro. Like,
I used to, well, why am I? Of course he said it. I believe it. I believe it.
Of course he said it. But he was like, that's a really good loving relationship. I was just like, yo, this dude don't care, man.
He always does that thing. He sends this stinger at somebody, and then at the end, but they're good, they're happy, and then he tries to soften it up at the end. It's so funny. He always does that crap.
Speaking of Trump, we're gonna tie this all back around, right?
No, hold that thought, because you talk about Barstool Sports is like dudes talking sports at a bar, drinking beers. That's what this show is. Sorry, people. I mean, y'all been listening to us for 220 episodes. You already know. That's what this is. We talk about whatever. Okay, yeah, there's some short-term rental stuff in there, midterm, but this is what we do. So
it's entertainment.
Entertainment.
It's entertainment, man.
All right, now go back to what you were saying about Trump.
Well, damn. Okay, I got some bunch of stuff to talk about. The marriage. I want to talk about Paul Pierce's comment. Actually, let's talk about Paul Pierce because it kind of goes into the Barstool Sports thing. So the Paul Pierce comment tied around back to Shannon Sharp, right? And Paul Pierce's way, how he says marriage doesn't benefit men. I agree to how he got money, right? You got money in the NBA, didn't have nobody by your side. You built that by yourself. in his perspective, yeah, he has to be on high alert because the
Mm.
OnlyFans model can rob him,
Oh,
like
yeah.
Shannon Sharp.
Yeah.
So like, let's say you had like, okay, look at LeBron James. LeBron James in Savannah. LeBron was with her. They built it together. He's a billionaire. She 10x'd. She can 10x what he was doing. He can handle certain things. She's the mother of his kids. They got 3 kids. First father son duo we've ever seen in the NBA. He's like breaking these barriers. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So he has a point, but I do understand where if you do it with a woman by your side, you can just 10x what you already got. Now tie that back into Shannon Sharp, where you don't have a woman on your side. Now you got to pick and choose off the OnlyFans models, and it comes back and bites you. and it's the same. It's the same situation as somebody taking half, right? So
Mm-hmm. Oh,
damned
yeah.
if you do, damned if you don't. It's just for certain perspectives. But yeah,
Yeah, it's the same lawyer, the same ambulance chasing lawyer that's suing all these brothers, man. It's crazy.
straight up, bro, straight up.
It's
But
not.
yeah, that's my marriage and wealth tied into to Paul Pierce back to Shannon Sharp. Now, going into like speaking of Trump, right? So, y'all, did you hear Trump's trying to cut Section 8?
I heard, yeah, you sent me that article.
So, okay, so from what because I like, when someone hears something, everybody starts saying this, saying that. So I just looked up what he was trying to do. So I looked it up, and so basically he's proposing a 43% reduction in federal rental assistance, including Section 8 vouchers, aiming to consolidate programs into state-controlled block grants. So basically, he's trying to pull funding that the government is giving to the states and let the states come up with other ways to create funding for, like Section 8, things of that nature. He said it would. Now, this is the other thing it does. He puts time limits on it. So like, you can be on Section 8 for 2 years. No, you get a 2-year cap on rental assistance for able-bodied adults without disabilities. So there's no more, the dude who can work purposely cutting hours so he can still qualify for Section 8. Basically, nah, bro, you got to get up out of here. And then there was another thing that he was talking about was, so basically they said approximately 2.3 million households rely on Section 8 vouchers. I was like, damn, they said it could cause a problem. So I'm going to tell you what's funny. So when this came out, he was trying to cut Section 8. Me and Mahogany were having a problem, not out of our Section 8 tenant, but out of the Section 8 program. So we had to send them an email because like since January, they've been sending the rent late. Like they send it like 5, 6, 7 days late. And so I'm like, so I looked up, I'm like, man, what do we do? They were like, hey, you need to email the housing company who you're with, the Metropolitan Housing Alliance that you're using. Email them, give them 5 days to respond. Tell them, hey, I need a response in 5 days. So I basically said, hey, we haven't been receiving rent on time since January. I need to know what's going on and how you're going to resolve it. I already emailed them a few months back, asked them what was going on. They were like, oh, we're going to fix it. We just switched systems. Guess the system still ain't fixed. So I emailed them and I said, hey, give me 5 days. And I said, if you don't give me 5 days, I'm going to include HUD on the email because that's where they get the funding. So there is times where I see, which I hope, I don't know how I'm going to feel about it because I'm about to be careful because I have Section 8 tenants and my tenant's really good. And the only reason I'm really kind of fine with them is because she will go down there. Like I can tell her, hey, they ain't paid the rent. She'll go knock on their, like go down there, like, hey, y'all need to make sure my landlord's paid because she's a really good tenant, takes care of the house. If anything's wrong, she lets us know. And so one thing I was like, man, I hope that fixes part of the problem, right? Because if you do, let's say you cut it, right? And the state is saying, hey, well, we need all these extra funds. I don't know if the government would do that. Maybe the feds would be like, hey, well, show me a track record of why you need the extra funds. Where's all the extra money? Where's the money going? Because I do think, I'm not sure, but it feels like they skimming money off the top down there. Certain states, like the state of Arkansas, I think wasn't Brett Favre getting caught into some shit like that in Mississippi?
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, hey, it happens, bro. It happens. Like, we got to be real, bro. It happens. So, I don't know. I don't know how it's going to affect it, but, it's something to look at. It's going to be interesting.
It is interesting, man, because, yeah, that's a lot of people, 2.3 million that are on Section 8. That's crazy.
Yeah. It's
Now, there's all different types of Section 8, right? There's partial, there's half, there's full. Not all of them, where they pay your whole rent. Almost 90
Yeah.
whatever percent. Some of them they only qualify for half their rent getting paid or something like that.
Yeah.
But when you said that, leave it up to the states kind of deal. The first thing that jumped in my mind, I was like, oh, the red states don't want to pay that shit. Those red states ain't gonna pay for Section 8 housing, man. And all the blue states are gonna do that. Yeah, sure, but the red states, nah, sorry, bro.
I think that's where the concern comes in, right? You have red states, they're like, man, we ain't paying for that. Blue states will, but now what happens to blue states that will pay for it? Do you want to live there after they start doing that? Because I'm personally, I don't invest in blue states just simply because of rent stuff that they can do. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, it's one situation. Because I was talking to my coworker today. He was asking me, he was like, man, would you ever move back to the Pacific Northwest? I was like, I don't really know. He goes, well, I'll say it this way. If they had, he said, if they had red politics, would you move back? I said, well, no, probably not just because of the weather. But I'm like, I could live in either. I don't know if I can. I don't know if I could, but I'm just saying, it was more the weather thing for me. But I'm all about investing in the red states.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know now. That'd be interesting.
Another thing, so a friend of a friend, who's the friend is trying to do short-term rental out of Dallas, right?
Okay.
Get one of those ghetto units. They're currently in a eviction situation, a squatter situation, because it's getting like crazy, man. And so what happened? This lady booked their apartment, for like 3 days, right? Then the checkout day came. Then she's not responsive. Then she's saying she ain't gonna leave. Then she's saying, this is a new angle. You gotta watch out for this, because she, like, the way that my friend told me, she said she strong armed the person, the arbitrager. She strong armed them into like making her a lease. She said, you know what? I'm not gonna leave. I need a place to stay, but check this out. If you make this lease for me for 2 months lease, then that's how long I need this place. Then I'll pay you. I could pay you weekly. I get paid every Friday. I could pay you weekly. But in the way that she stated it, she said she strong armed him and pressured him into doing this. And I guess he folded. He said, okay, I'll draw it up and I'll send it to you. We'll both sign it, DocuSign, and then we'll get it started. You can pay me weekly. And of course, you know what happens. The lady didn't pay him nothing. So she's got her little 2-month lease in place now. And then she didn't pay him nothing. And so my friend sent him that information of the private security.
Yeah.
The Craig Swan private security, what's up, out of Dallas. And she told him the situation. She goes, oh, you had her sign a lease? He goes, yeah, man, I can't help you with that because, Airbnb thing, she was there a few days. You needed someone to help get her out. Yeah, we could do that. But you went and signed a lease with this lady. That's going to be like a court situation now. And so I was like, dang, why did she? Of course, hindsight is 2020.
Yep.
You had all these red flags. This lady's refusing to leave, and all of a sudden she's trying to make you put something on paper so she can stay for a lease, and she got to pay you weekly. And then you went ahead and went along with it. Whereas one of you or I would have like, hell no, you got to leave. I'm gonna call, I'm gonna get the cops. I'm gonna get you out. Well, not the cops, because they'll help her stay forever. Don't ever call the cops for a squatter situation. Get the private security, get them in there. And she sent me a video of the person. I don't know if it was the actual. They might be out of the country who's renting these places, but sent a video of a guy typing in the code. Those the ghetto apartment ones. And he walked right in. And the lady's sitting there at the kitchen table on her laptop, just looks at him like normal, not like not free, just looked at him like kind of like she was expecting it or something. And he goes, "Ma'am, good morning. Here's I'm serving you with this 3 days notice to vacate. Blah blah blah. You have 72 hours to leave, and I'm gonna paste one on the door too." Hands it to her. She just grabs it, didn't even react to him, nothing. And then he left and he put it on the door. He filmed himself doing it so he could have some proof, for the courts or whatever. And I was like, first thing that jumped out of my mind, oh, you can still get in there, huh?
Take the furniture out.
I told her that. I said, tell him to get his furniture. Get the moves over there. Get his furniture out of there. If you can still open the door,
Straight up. Yeah, go take the furniture. Shit, I'd take the door lock off.
Take the door off.
Yeah, yeah,
change the internet logins, do all that shit.
for
But
real.
like
I would
Sean,
take the internet box out.
yeah, it's all your stuff, right?
Yeah, straight up.
So
Yeah,
Sean Rasijic, he's the one that said yeah, you could take your furniture out. It's your furniture, it's your property.
yeah.
And so and he has his videos got a million hits and all that stuff. So that's what I was like, I mean, now the only thing you can do is make it uncomfortable for them. I said, do not call the cops because they're gonna be fighting you instead of that person that's in there.
Hey, if you can make it uncomfortable and take the door off, send your Uncle Ray Ray to smoke blacks and drink Hennessy over there. Chill over there with her. Like, hey.
That's what I'm saying, man. But
Man.
yeah, you can still get in there. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
getting crazy out there, man. So yeah, be careful.
Man, so another thing, because you talked about this. Remember how you were talking about the tariffs, right? Like, and how it's going to affect housing. So Airbnb's Q1 report came out, and they did say they reported a decline in U.S. travel demand because Canadians ain't coming over here, and that's a huge population of our travel, which I didn't realize. So they're saying that since they're not coming over here, maybe, and they did say, but they also said this though. They did say less than 3% of America's travel was from outside. So most of their travel is domestic. So maybe that is a good thing. I think you might be hitting on that. So I think, with these tariffs, I don't know if we're starting to see the impacts of it yet, but once we truly start seeing the impacts, we're going to really be interesting on how that's going to work out. Yeah.
That's a good point. And that's what I was thinking. Most people aren't going to do those. Yeah, they're worried about money. People are worried about money right now, so they're not going to do those European trips and South American trips. They might just take a few weeks, go to somewhere in the country that's cheap to get to, cheap to stay at, and they might need an Airbnb. So that's what I was thinking. It might actually help us in a way.
Yeah, it could. It could
Domestic travel.
Yeah. And then, with domestic travel, I don't know, maybe that puts more people, if they're traveling domestically, maybe we can get more, the midterm will keep picking up because midterm's hot right now, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's hot. So see how it goes.
So what comes to mind when I say the power of saying no?
Oh man, that's the power of your time back, honestly. The power of your time back is the power of saying no. Yeah, you got to get comfortable saying no right there.
You got any examples of saying no or turning something down or getting rid of something out of your life or whatever?
Oh,
business.
You know what? Right when I got out of the arbitrage space, the apartment complex, they were like, "Hey." So one thing, okay, me and Mike, we partnered on these deals. It was like 10 doors we got in total. I had 5, he had 5. No, I had 7. No, I had 5 and he had 5, or whatever. And the manager was bad. They wouldn't fix nothing. And then like when I started going up there, like it was empty. Like I'm like, dang, are they just not having people stay here no more? Is it empty? And so I'm like, I've started figuring out like it was empty. And we talked to the guy and I was like, hey man, I think I'm gonna break a few of these leases, or not break the leases, but once they end, I'm not gonna renew. He's like, hey man, let me show you our vacancies. They had this huge vacancy list. I'm like, whoa. And he's like, I'll give you 5 more, however many you need. And I was like, man, it's tempting. But then I was like, man, I could just furnish them up. And he's like, I'll give you all these discounts. And I was like, nah, man, I had to stick to what I wanted, which was I wanted to get more houses and just manage doors and do houses. I don't even like managing apartments no more. I'm like kind of just out of it. So that was one time where it's just like, yeah, it's shiny. It's the shiny object syndrome. I think that's what a lot of us, especially when you've been in business for a while and you're used to the money, but you haven't done the pumpkin plan yet. That shiny object syndrome will hurt you every time. Yeah,
that is true. And as the late great Pretty Tony once said, "They about the honey, I'm about my money."
Oh man. So
shout out to Pretty Tony. If you don't know, now you know.
No. So on your front, what is that comes to mind for you?
So my thing is now, because I've gotten these inquiries from people in the past that want me to manage their house. That sounds good, right? I like houses, but they're not able to do under 30 days. And to me, I've picked those up before, and it sets you up for failure because they'll start, you might get a good corporate client, but after that one's gone, there might be a long dry spell. They're hitting you up. What can we do? This and that. I can't lower the price much more. Plus, you can't rent short term. There's not really much we can do to fill these gaps, man.
Bro, I've been there before. That's one of the reasons I remember I 1031 that condo because it was 30 days only. I couldn't do anything. And the neighbors were super nosy. I'm currently managing a lady, same exact situation, where first few months it was slow. We got one corporate booking, then she's waiting in between time. And then, we get her another big one. And so she was like, oh man, is this going to pick up? I'm like, and then she wasn't allowing pets. So she's not allowing pets. She's got this big backyard. So it's just, she wasn't attracting the clientele. So about a month ago, she was like, can we do like a 7-day minimum? I was like, that's perfect. Boom, we're filling up the 7 days. We're getting 7-day minimum. And now, boom, we're getting these back-to-back really long reservations.
Mm-hmm.
And I put it on anything 30 days out. They have to stay for 30 days or more. So it just kind of picked up the clientele. So yeah, I'm with you on that. I tell people all the time, I preach midterm, but I'm not just 100% midterm.
Mm-hmm.
I'm midterm. If there's a gap, we fill the gap. Then we go midterm again for sure.
Yeah. And that's the thing with our buddy Jesse, the midterm guy, Jesse Vasquez,
yeah.
And he mentioned that he says he does 100% midterm at places. He doesn't worry about the gaps. Because we asked him about the gaps on the show. How do you fill the gaps? I don't have any gaps. I got waiting list on the next people want the house. People. I have not experienced that where there's no gaps in the 30 days only. I mean, have you? There was a condo and the rent was so cheap that you could fill it. But I mean, it's rare.
He's in Southern California, that's why. Now here, that ain't happening. It's too. Yeah, that's just not happening here. There,
why handicap yourself? Is my thing.
I agree.
Why handicap yourself? So not only am I looking for the perfect, situation for me to make money, either, buying a house that I know is going to produce or an arbitrage that I know is just a too good to turn down house, you know what I'm saying? But it has to be a too good to be true. It has to be a really, really damn good opportunity
sure
of that someone else has as well. Like someone else's house that you can do short term. It is going to be a good short term. It is designed well.
Yeah.
I don't want no crappy houses either. Same thing, because you're just putting more stress on yourself when it ain't booking. You're gonna get the phone calls, you're gonna get the emails. Hey, why isn't this booking? This because you didn't want to pay money to put good stuff in there. That's why it's not getting booking. Because you didn't want to pay for professional photographs. I can't pay for all this stuff for you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because but yeah, I mean, so saying no to money. It might seem like you're saying no to money at the time, but you're saying yes to more money in the future.
Straight up. Yeah, man. Because it's a headache, man. And then you hate to charge people if they're losing money. And it's just like, I have clients who are losing money and I'll be like, hey, man, this is what we might want to do with this situation. Let's see if we can fix it up. Maybe we need to let go of this unit, get to something else. Because those are hard conversations to have. They're hard conversations to have.
And they hit that death spiral because then they furnish it, like I said. Maybe they just want to leave grandma's furniture in there and do it. You telling them, hey, you got to upgrade the stuff, man. Hey, you got to do this. You got to paint a little. You got to fix these little issues. No, let's just list it. And then it starts, might get a few bookings. Maybe they got professional photographer, made it look all right. But then they start getting the bad reviews. Then they start losing money. And then you're like, okay, you need to do these fixes now. You need to do this upgrades. You need to, add some decor. You need to do some things. I don't have any money because I'm losing money on this house. And then it's the death spiral.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That I think that's one thing shout out to Sean Rakic. He really hits on that. That's usually that typical landlord mindset coming into the short-term, midterm space, and it don't work like that, man. You're just used to collecting the check. House might look like crap on the inside. They probably don't care. Basically, they're probably just a slumlord anyway, and they're trying to transition in the mindset of hospitality. It's a different mindset, and those are the first people that usually go out of business. Those are the first ones because they can't shift. We talked about that so many times on this show. It's like, bro, you got to be able to shift.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, yeah, moving along. Do you have houses with pools?
I don't. I
Okay.
don't. I don't. Now I have a question for you. The houses with pools.
Hmm.
I know you might get a midterm in there, but far as like midterm, do you find it more profitable for a midterm person to be there or to rent it short term?
Hmm. That's a good question. Now I'll tell you what's happening because
Okay.
I did take over. I am arbitraging a house with a pool in Grand Prairie, right?
Okay.
And that's the one that came fully furnished. I got it at a good deal,
Mhm.
and so I'm arbitraging that one. It started getting the bookings immediately because it's pool
Got a
season.
pool.
People want to get those Airbnb, but I got like a 2 month booking, midterm booking through Airbnb
Hmm.
for that house with the pool for a big chunk of change. So
Okay.
that I don't have enough of a data
Yeah.
sample to say is Airbnb better or is midterm better. I always want midterm no matter what. I don't want to
Yeah.
mess with
Yeah. For
Airbnb at
sure.
all. Even if I make a little bit less on midterm, I lock them in off the platform 2 or 3 months. They're gonna extend. I'm happy with that all day. I don't got to mess
Yeah.
with Airbnb. I got to worry about them hitting up Airbnb and trying to get refunds and all that crap. I don't care even if I lose a couple
Mm.
bucks and I make a little less being off platform, which of course we always aim to make more off platform, right?
Yeah.
But even if it meant I'm making a little bit less off platform, I'm better off being off platform for a midterm rental than going through Airbnb.
Now I have a question. Like Airbnb, I'm not worried about. Like, let's say you're doing a midterm rental off platform with the pool. Are there any like? Are you usually getting like what is your midterm clientele? Is it usually insurance people in between? What's your
Now,
midterm?
I've had a few insurance inquiries about that house, and in particular because the family that's displaced,
Yeah,
they want a house with a pool. Even though
that's
they
what I was
ain't
gonna
got it.
ask.
Yeah, it's a thing now that they're asking,
Yeah.
"Hey, oh, we can get a house for a few months. Can we get one with a pool?" So they want a house with a pool. And someone almost did book that one for 4 months. They ended up getting one of our other houses that don't have a pool, but they almost booked it for 4 months, right?
Uh huh.
Because of the pool. But there's this particular house is 2 story. It don't have a bedroom downstairs.
Oh.
And all the bedrooms are upstairs. So
Mm-hmm.
there's an older member of the family that needs a bedroom, and I'm like, well, I could I can make one of the living spaces into like a makeshift bedroom, or I could, we could do
Yeah.
something. We could put a bed down there. But the thing is, it's only a half bath downstairs.
Yeah.
So in order to bathe and all that, they'd have to get upstairs, and they knew this beforehand. And we told them beforehand, but they were so in love with that pool. Oh, we can make it work. We can make it work. And then finally, yeah, it's not gonna work. And so, but they rented one of our
Oh.
other spots.
Okay, that's what I was wondering. Like, if is it how is the clientele, and then like, does the insurance say, hey, they have a pool, or are they asking for extra liability? That's what I was wondering on midterms.
No, they didn't ask for nothing.
Okay, and
They,
then
yeah.
okay, so not asking for nothing. Now you actually brought up a really good point in that. I never think about it, but I have always aimed for it. I've always aimed for all my rentals to be one story,
Hmm.
and that reason why is because one is going to be less to clean and less square footage usually, but just one story. It's just like you don't have to worry about people going up and down stairs, such and such. So yeah, that's interesting. Have you found that your 2 stories are booked less or
No, they stay booked.
stay booked?
Now,
Okay.
now the one 2 story I have that's like a five bedroom 2 story house over there in South Grand Prairie. That one, that's actually I own that one with a partner Cheryl. Shout out to Cheryl. But that one does have a master bedroom downstairs with the
Yeah.
master bath down. So, and it was rented by an older elderly couple, and it was perfect for them. They didn't even go up. They didn't even need the upstairs, whatever. But they had everything downstairs that they needed. So, to me, and I've looked at houses to purchase before that are kind of like okay, and they have a pool, but they don't have a bedroom downstairs, and I haven't bought one that's like that. I said I kind of need a bedroom downstairs, and I need a full bath downstairs. But this particular one, this arbitrage that's built like that, that has all the bedrooms upstairs, I went ahead and got it because the deal was so good and because it came fully furnished with nice furnitures and it's a big house, 2 living rooms, and there's a nice pool. So it checked a lot of boxes. And I was like, if I'm going to be primarily, I'm making a buttload of money on Airbnb because of the pool, then yeah, Airbnbers, people traveling, if an old person can't barely walk upstairs, they're probably not going to be flying around the country. Maybe not. Maybe they will. But as far as a family that wants a pool, that's perfect. They can get upstairs.
Yeah. Because it's funny you talked about South Grand Prairie. Because I just viewed a house in South Grand Prairie 2 days ago on Monday. Yeah, on Monday or Tuesday, and it needs work, right? But the guy's trying to sell it for 395. It probably can sell for like 590, but it probably needs
Whoa.
about yeah, but it probably needs about, I would say it don't need that much work. It's just cosmetic because like it was some hoarders there. It just needs a deep clean, carpet, paint, floors, carpet, paint, floors. I don't know. The only thing is I don't know how the plumbing and electrical is. I'm pretty sure it's in good shape because it's been empty since 2023. Because
Oh,
when I was viewing it, one of the neighbors came by who was trying to buy it. And he was like, "Oh, well, I was trying to buy this house off the auction, And he was like, at the auction, it was listed at 323. So I
oh,
think a wholesaler, because I got it in my wholesale email, so I think a wholesaler picked it up and trying to sell it for 395. And it's right there in South Grand Prairie, man. It was built in '06. So
where's it
yeah,
close to?
it's right there by Joe Pool Lake.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, so right in that area, and I was like, I'm thinking about buying it, but right now I'm trying to. I don't like doing too many real estate transactions at one time. I don't have my bandwidth there yet because I'm trying to close on this duplex. But yeah, it would be a good flip. It's nothing that I would, and I don't know if there's an HOA over there. I think there is, so I kind of be careful about that too. But
Hmm. You brought up a good point because you're like you don't want to do too much at one time,
yeah, yeah,
and and I'm starting to feel that way too, man. Even though I do got a lot of pokers in the fire, as they say, I am getting to the point, man. Okay, after this deal, I'm gonna chill for a little bit. Of course, we always say that, and then another opportunity comes, right?
yeah, yeah,
But I'm getting to the point where, man, I'm just gonna drive myself crazy by going after all the, even if they're good opportunities, I'm still gonna drive myself crazy because, okay, even if the opportunity goes perfectly, you get it, you close quick, you get a renter or you turn it into Airbnb, whatever. Still, how many variables are there? How many things can go wrong in that one situation? Like a million things, right? So you just added another million things that could go wrong to the other 3 or 4 projects that you got going on that are each a million things can go wrong in those places. Murphy's Law, what can go wrong will go wrong. So you're just kind of like, you keep shooting yourself in the foot by taking on so much.
yeah,
But the key thing is you can take on a lot, but you got to step back a little bit, build out your systems, where other people are doing this for you, right? And you could take on as much as you want because you got your acquisitions persons out there doing this, you got the loan person, you got it like a machine instead of you doing every single thing, which is what we all fall into because oh man, I'm gonna chill. No, here's another opportunity. I got to go after it. It's a lot of money right there, but you're never perfecting the machine, right?
yeah. And this is I'm typing this right now. I was like, at this point in your business, what part of your business can't you outsource? That,
Anti
that
outsource.
not can't that you haven't outsourced and you don't feel strong in outsourcing it.
Hmm, man, that's a good one. Uh,
I'll know mine. I'll talk about mine.
go ahead.
Mine is acquisitions.
Yeah, probably mine
That's
too.
mine.
Yeah.
That's mine. Mine's acquisitions. Mine's like, okay, if I pick up this door, okay, I don't know if they can run numbers on it like me or kind of look at it how I look at it. Cause like even when I like tell people about Airbnb and stuff and short-term rentals and midterm rentals, they the stuff that we know and how we look at it, they don't look at it that way. They like look at it as okay, the house is 2,000 a month. I can just will it make me 3,000 a month? But it's
Hmm.
like, yeah, it can, but there's a HOA there, you can get shut down. It's certain things they don't look at. Like it's one of those things where you have to do something 100 times and you know what to look at right
Yeah.
immediately. And someone else ain't going to look at it like that.
Now, I'll tell you this. Shout out to my partner in my business. Not my
Yeah.
partner, but associate.
Yeah.
I got him doing all the corporate stuff, right?
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
doing all the corporate stuff. And plus, I had for a while there while I was picking up arbitrages pretty heavy. I had him reaching out to all these potential arbitrages.
Yeah. Yeah.
And at first, he started sending me shitty houses, you know? I mean, good ones, medium ones, shitty ones, you know, all mixed
Yeah.
bag.
Yeah.
And that's part of the process. I sit there, okay, listen, if you see this, if you see carpet on the living room, no, you know, if you see,
Yeah.
you start learning, you start teaching him what you're looking for,
Yeah.
you know, because once you send somebody out to do something, you don't think of every single thing to teach them. But
Yeah.
as soon as the info starts coming back, you start perfecting it. And
Yeah.
he got to the point where he was getting better and better at perfecting the information and this and that. And so it did kind of work out that way. And he found a few good ones. And then, but still, he's in Argentina. And I was the ultimate one I'd go out after we weeded them out to funneled them down to like the best ones, you know what I'm saying? I'd
Hmm.
still go out. I wanted to look at them myself, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to make sure because pictures can lie, right? And so once you step in there and it smells like whatever, or it looks like whatever up close, then you're not going to get it. That part, like you said, that's the acquisitions part. You still want to look at these houses you're going to spend,
Facts.
500, $300,000 on this purchase. You still want to look at it yourself. You
Yeah.
can't. We're not to that point yet where we trust someone to do that big. But I see what you're saying. Little by little, start handing off as
Yeah.
much of the small stuff. Now, big acquisition stuff. Okay, if my only job becomes I'm gonna go look at 5 or 6 houses a week and maybe buy one or maybe buy one house a month or two, that's beautiful. I don't have to
Yeah.
manage Airbnbs. I don't have to manage corporate people. I don't have to do any of that. I have all my people in place to do all the minutia, and I can just do acquisitions. I'd be happy as hell.
See, and that's the thing. You can also find that thing what brings you joy in the business, right?
Yeah.
Like I loved walking that house on Monday and then seeing like, okay, what needs to be done here? How do I calculate this? I love doing
Yeah.
that, but but that requires my time. It doesn't bother me though. But like, okay, with me selling this house, right? We have to turn off utilities, all that. Now I had my VA. I trained my VA on how to do it. She got it done. So that was easy. But now I have to send lender stuff, right? So I got to send the new lender stuff because we got the 1031. So it's certain times where I have to dive in there and really get my hands dirty, and it takes my time. So, but I was listening to Brandon Turner's podcast, and the guy did say he goes outsource, but don't over outsource.
Mm.
Because sometimes when you over outsource, you forget to know you sometimes lose track of what's going on in the business. You might have a hole in your purse and you don't know it.
Yeah.
So that's one thing I've ran into as well.
One good example of like something that you can outsource, you should outsource, like especially
Mhm.
what we do, but you choose to do it yourself because you like doing it. Is Adam Johnson, friend of the
Mhm.
show.
Yeah.
The Subject 2 guy out of Tennessee.
Mhm.
He buys them Subject 2 houses from the military people. Um, he goes and mows people's yards for like $60. And they got those big yards in Tennessee, right?
Yeah.
And he has his riding lawnmower. He just goes and knocks on his door, hands out his cards, and I'm like, you're mowing all these yards. He mows all his yards, and he mows people. He gets paid $60. I mean, and I think isn't your time worth more than $60 to go out there for an hour? He goes, first of all, he loves doing it. He's not doing it for the money. Plus, he's out looking at yards all day with grass overgrown all over the place, right? And he's going and talking to these people, forming a rapport, and he
Yeah.
ends up buying some of their houses. So to him, he gets outside of the house and he's doing all this. He's out,
Yeah.
and finding houses that people are probably gonna, sell him for cheap or let go of or whatever because they're not taking care of the house. So it's a good, but it brings him joy. He loves to
Yeah.
go and ride his lawnmower, put his music on, and just
Yeah.
mow these yards. He gets $60 for it, which ain't that's not a lot of money for what we do, right?
Yeah.
Because we outsource that in a heartbeat. $60, yeah, I'll outsource that in a heartbeat. But to him, he chooses to do it because he loves it.
Yeah. Straight up. It's parts of your business you're going to choose to do. You know what I mean? Especially if it brings you peace, joy, you like doing it. Yeah, outsource it, man. For real. But if you like, if you like doing it, do it yourself. There's nothing wrong with that. But when you find yourself overburdened by some, definitely find out because if you don't like doing it, it's gonna drain your energy find your energy drainers. That's what it is.
Mhm.
Find your energy drainers.
I'm gonna tell you something.
Okay.
I'm gonna dig deep here.
Okay.
Go to.
Yeah.
All right. You got these newbies. A lot of newbies listen to our show. Setting up all their stuff.
Mhm.
Now, I know I did it the wrong way because right now I'm kind of unraveling this giant beast of a company and trying to get all the accounting correct, right?
Mhm.
Because I didn't do it all up front, and it just
Mhm.
and it's taking a lot of time and effort to put everything in the right categories. A lot of cleanups going on right now, and I know you've from the beginning. It seems that you've had the accounting on lock. Did you think of implementing the accounting stuff first before growing the business, or how did you do it?
And I'm gonna be real, man. I was in a clubhouse room. Shout out to our old podcast guest, but Jay Massey, once he put me on Profit First, and Michael, I don't know how to say his last name, Mikovich, whatever his name is, but after I started reading all his books and I read Profit First, that was a game changer. I implemented that immediately because that was my problem. I had all this money coming into one account, expenses coming into one
Mm.
out of one account, and you can't decipher anything. So once I used Profit First, that's when I really got it unlocked. But I was probably 3 years into the business then when
Mm.
Clubhouse was really popping. I think it was like
Mhm.
2020. So I was like 3 years into the business. So yeah, so that's when I really got it unlocked, man. And then now the funny thing about accounting is I had tried to, and this goes back to over outsourcing. I gave the accounting part to my CPA and I let him run the books. And then I kind of got a little loose. I was like, oh, it's running on autopilot. Then I was losing money. So
Mm.
I was like, okay. And he was like, hey, what's this? What's this? And I was like, man, forget this. I said, let me take back over the books. He was like, okay, cool. He goes, yeah, take back over. I took back over the books. Now I'm making money again because I'm over it. And that's another thing I haven't outsourced yet either is my bookkeeping. And the reason why, once I grow a little bit more, I'll probably get bookkeeping outsourced. But I'm in love with that profit first method. And there are bookkeepers who can do profit first for you, but I'm in love with it. And I like doing the bookkeeping because then I can kind of project, okay, what kind of loans can I get and things like that. By the way, speaking of loans, Wells Fargo offering 6% BLOCs. So if you have a positive business, go and get that
B-Lock, what's that?
business line of credit up to 100,000.
Oh, oh,
Yeah,
nice.
up to 100,000 at 6%. Hop on that.
What does it take to qualify for that?
I didn't see the qualifications. It came to my email today, and I was like, oh snap! But I already have 50K with them. I could try to get it bigger, but I'm gonna just hold it for now. Yeah, man. So
6%. That's damn good.
real good, straight up. Speaking of, because I know we talked about DSCR last week. So I'm doing a DSCR on the duplex. I
Mm.
switched over to and it's saving me money, bro. Like, if I was gonna use it myself, like use me and Mahogany's information, they were gonna make me put down 25%. And she was like, well, if you use DSCR, you could put down 20%. And my out of pocket cost went down like $8,000.
Yeah.
I was like, hell yeah, we doing DSCR. Because I needed to put something in my business name anyway, like a property, just to offset some accounting. So yeah, I was like, hell yeah. So finally doing that.
Mm. Yeah, I've been doing DSCR for a while. It's a lot easier process, man. It's so
Straight up.
fast. But like I said, even that I don't want to do anymore. I want to do straight owner financing
Yeah.
and subject to. That's all I want to
Straight
do.
up. Straight
So
up.
yeah, we evolve. We evolve.
Heck yeah, we always do, man. But yeah, but for newbies, like on the accountant side, man, get your QuickBooks set up and learn how to categorize. I'm gonna be honest, you can use ChatGPT to categorize some stuff because I use it. Like for certain things, I don't understand categorization, and I don't want to ask my CPA. I could ask my CPA, but man, ChatGPT will tell you what goes and what exactly you're trying to do.
Because that's the thing with what we do. Because we own properties, right?
Mm-hmm.
We rent. We've rented out long term before. We've rented out midterm. We've rented out Airbnb. We have Airbnb accounts. Them sending us 1099s. Then we get corporate bookings. Them sending us 1099s.
Hey,
And then
keep talking.
yeah, and then we're doing arbitrage. So we're renting other people's places, and then all the expenses that goes to that. Then on top of that, the Airbnb money going this way, the midterm going this way. If you get a long term, it goes this way. And so ours is very muddied up because we're doing so many different things. And plus, we have clients we manage for. And so we're sending money, we're receiving money, you're sending money or whatever. We're balancing the books that way with clients we manage for. So our accounting is not simple. And that's why I wanted to bring it up on the show. Like you said, like Micah said, get your accounting situation set up before you start your business, have everything separated and categorized. And then once you start growing, you won't have this big jumbled ball of mess that you got to unwind in the future, man. Cause it's a painful headache, man.
It is. It is. I know what you mean. Because when I used to have like one account for this, one account, I'm like, man, it really messed me up. But yeah, bro, that profit first it was a game changer for me. So yeah, if you really want to learn business, read all of Mike Makovic's books, either on Audible, however it may be. And he has really good stuff. Really good stuff.
Yeah. So, and what bank account do you use? What bank do you use for that profit first model?
Oh, I use Wells Fargo, but I have it all set up through this app called Sequence. It's all online. So my income account is in Sequence, and then Sequence takes all the money and divvies it up, and it sends it to my bank automatically, and I don't have to do anything.
Oh, okay. I thought you were using a special bank that has all the buckets.
No. Sequence basically connects to your bank that has all the buckets, and it divvies it up for you.
So Wells Fargo, you could put a bunch of buckets?
Yeah, I have a bunch of buckets in Wells Fargo. So I have like 6 accounts at Wells Fargo, business accounts. And then that's connected over to Sequence. Sequence is ran through threads. And after that, it goes into Sequence, and Sequence sends the money over to Wells Fargo accordingly. So like if my operating expense is at 76%, it sends 76% over to that. If your owner's comp's at 10 or whatever, it sends 10% over that. And then I have it run. I personally have it run every time money comes in, and then I also have it run on the 1st and 15th in case there's any like leftover over there. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, it's an app called Get Sequence, man. Man, it's a game changer. Definitely look into it.
Get Sequence. I'm gonna write that down right now, man. And I'm gonna get Sequence.
Yeah, it's called Get Sequence, man, and it's really cheap. I think it's like $30-$40 a month, something like that. It's called Sequence, the financial router. Man, it's powerful.
Speaking of the art of saying no, our boy Mikey B hollered at me today out of the blue, just out of the blue, and we were talking and stuff, and he had mentioned about recently getting rid of a client because that client was too they didn't want to fix nothing. So that goes back to finding the right clients. Go wrapping it all up, going at about the beginning of the show, finding the right clients, and there are clients that don't want to fix nothing. And what are you gonna do?
Bro, I've been there before.
You can't do nothing.
Yeah.
Except for drop them.
Yeah. And that goes back to that mentality, man. Yeah. That slumlord mentality. So it is, man. It's interesting. I tell people, and you know what? Let's just be real. If you are used to being a slumlord or just a landlord who ain't fixed nothing and just, hey, taking it month by month, receiving your check on the 1st, don't get into short-term rentals or midterm rentals at that. I'll just be real. Don't get into it. It's more work. It is. It's not fully passive because it's active income because you have to have a team. I would say don't get into it. Being real. That's my 2 cents. Don't get into it.
Good advice right there.
Don't get into it. I'm gonna be real.
On that note, just don't do it. Just say no.
Just say no. That might be the name of this episode. Just say no.
Just say no.
From Shannon Sharp to your business. Just say no. Just say no.
Messing with them young 19-year-olds. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Oh well. More power to him. Hopefully he don't lose his ass. But well.
Yeah. Hopefully he wins, man. I don't know.
Yeah, we're probably pissing off some audience members by even bringing it up. Oh well. You know what you're getting into when you hit play on this show. Sorry. There you go. Any closing thoughts, Micah?
No, man, just say no. You know what I mean? So just say no. And continue the journey. Everyone who is experienced at it, hopefully you learned something today. And hopefully we able to provide some value to you.
Hit us up. Holler at us.
Yeah. Live Let Thrive at gmail.com, Instagram, Live Let Thrive, and TikTok, Live Let Thrive. We've been posting daily on there. So yeah, definitely follow us. I've been liking the good feedback we get a lot of good feedback. Actually, so the people who be sending us messages, we're gonna try to get y'all on the show. So check y'all DMs.
One thing, real quick,
Yeah.
I just wanted to bring up going back to the eviction thing, right?
Okay.
That lady that was doing the squatting. You know what I'm saying?
Ooh.
They I was sent this lady's profile saying this is the woman that's doing it, and it had this shiny, AI generated, picture, right?
Oh.
And it said something like powerpreneur or something like that, and it had like she's doing some kind of selling some kind of online courses or whatever, right? I don't know what they're how to squat or whatever it is, but it's some. So she's these are the people, these gurus that you're buying this crap from. They're sitting. They might even be squatters. You don't know. They're holed up in somebody using someone else's internet, selling this AI generated bullshit to you for a lot of money. You're paying thousands of bucks to these idiots out there. So that just know that before you start giving thousands of dollars away to these idiots, give it to us instead.
Yeah, there you go. Dang, now you made me think of something, man. I ain't gonna call this person. I knew this person, right? And they were selling all these courses. And all these courses, they were everywhere, right? Selling all these courses, people buying them. Like this dude's making buku money, right? So come to find out, he was making all this money, but the premise of everything he was selling was, oh, you can do this with bad credit or no credit, and he would tell this story of how he had bad credit. So when fit hit the shan, he ended up losing his ass and couldn't really cater to his students anymore. And then like one guy was talking about it. He goes, man, y'all lost all this money, giving your money to a guy who's telling you he has bad credit. He goes, think about it. He's telling you he don't pay people back. And I was like, damn. And I was like, damn, if you put it like that, you have a point. Right? So you do got to watch who you buying stuff from, bro. So yeah, man. Watch who you buying stuff from.
They're buying these courses from ChatGPT. They just don't know.
No. Oh, ChatGPT. Oh, yeah, you could create a course on
That's what I'm saying. They're creating these courses on ChatGPT, putting a shiny AI image on it, and boom, here you go, $5,000. I'll teach you the secrets, bro.
That's
ain't
crazy.
no freaking secrets. You gotta go out there and mix it up. That's it.
Yeah, that's why we don't go viral, because we telling you the honest God truth. It takes hard work. That's basically the only thing you got to do. You just got to work hard, honestly, straight up.
Mm-hmm. All right, brother.
All right.
Great talking to you again. We'll talk to you later. Live, let thrive. Peace out.
We are out.
Peace.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Live, Let Thrive. Be sure to tune in next week for all the latest in the world of Airbnb and all that entails. Bye-bye.